Hello, Capricorn. Welcome to Tarot by Cecelia on Patreon. This is your monthly tarot guidance for the month of October 2016. You know, here we are. I've been talking about October forever, right? I really feel it's like the most positive, soothing month of the year. Oh, my goodness, my goodness. Where has the time gone? Let's talk about what's going on this month, okay? On the 6th, Mercury will leave shadow. It's kind of like your all systems go moment, all right? On the 7th, it will enter Libra. Now, mind you, now Mercury's picking up speed, so it's going to start for, the next month or two anyway, moving pretty quickly through the signs, but not for long. We still have one more retrograde to go. On the 16th, there will be a full moon in Aries, and on the 18th, Venus enters Sagittarius. On the 22nd, the Sun enters Scorpio. On the 24th, Mercury's still moving right along. Mercury enters Scorpio. And on the 30th, there's a new moon in Scorpio. Now, speaking of new moons, and also another thing here, on the 30th of September, we had a really wonderful new moon in Libra. It was the best new moon of the year. I'm wondering, okay, because as the month ended, Mars entered your sign on the 27th. Great place for Mars to be, first of all. But when Mars is in your sign, it's the planet of action. And when I look at these cards, okay, and I look at, for you, where Jupiter in Libra, can help you, it's in your 10th house of career this year. Now that we've gotten all that other energy out of the way, you had a beautiful new moon, you have Mars in your sign, you have Jupiter to help you in your career sector. What can go wrong, all right? This is the best you've had it in a really, really long time. I am pretty darn sure, okay? So I kind of feel like you're like the town crier going, change, change, change. Who else wants some change? Yeah, that's it. I was like, I get the chills as I say it. It's like, finally, you can have some change. And I think it's coming by the full moon on the 16th, okay? So, interesting. You're finally going to see some prayers being answered and the ability to manifest some opportunities. So, you're kind of, like where you're being reborn finally, in a sense, that type of thing. Now, decisions need to be made. And when it comes to things that have happened, don't blame anyone else for whatever's happened to you, okay? First of all, leave that out of the way. Cause and effect. A lot of it you did to yourself, all right? You can't blame it all on the universe or other people or whatever, but you're getting away from it now and you're getting to smoother waters. This is really just the beginning, okay? So with responsibilities, it's been a little rough, but there's a recovery period coming for some of that. That's a good thing. Pardon me, Capricorn, if I skip around a little bit, okay? You've heard me say for how many months now? October the 8th, October the 8th, October the 8th. I really don't know why. Just a day I hit upon, and I'm here to mention like October the 10th. So that's a time frame. That's like a weekend. Here in the U.S., it's Columbus Day weekend. In Canada, the 10th is Thanksgiving, all right? But it's that time frame, that like 8th, 9th, 10th. There's something going on, all right? It's the something that finally takes you toward your future. Can it be? Whew. I mean, it's a glorious thing. It really, truly is. But part of this, comes through decisions that you need to make yourself. Like finally getting back on track. I don't know why I want to say this, but for some of you, I think a new vehicle may actually be in order. It might be time. Something around, vehicles and details and taking care of them. So, new doesn't mean brand new off the lot. It could be a new used vehicle. But for those of you who have had, I think, difficulties in a number of areas, this is something that's definitely very helpful. Doesn't mean every Capricorn out there is going to get another vehicle at this time. but it's here. I want to say after the full moon on the 16th, you're finding yourself free from a situation. There can be many, all right? But this particular one, there's female energy around it. And I don't know if it means there's a particular female in your life that you need to be free from at long last. Because after all, full moons are about letting go. But there's definitely something taking place here. So, we shall see. But with regard to your home, your family, the people who are around you, those who you love, there's, I want to say, a spiritual connection here. Not sure what that means for each of you, but it's not even something I usually talk about. But it feels like a spiritual connection where sometimes you might want to call it unconditional love, but it doesn't feel that way. It feels like something else. Like sometimes there's a bond there, and people who may not even be part of your family are your family. Do you know what I'm saying? A lot of people experience that in life where there are people that become their family over time. And it's kind of that sense of that, because with them you find the security that you need. So how can that be? You become free from a particular situation, but you have a group of people. Maybe they're all associated, and it doesn't interfere with, if you're free from one, you still have all the others. That's interesting. It is indeed interesting, whatever that means, whatever it's about. Because you have to remember, after all, with Jupiter and Libra this year, it is all about relationships. So you're going to see over this coming year a great deal of relationship dynamics that are taking place. And, probably things that you never thought would happen. Just putting that out there. And now, like I said, with Mars finally in your sign, which is wonderful that it's moved along after, spending so many months with Sagittarius and Scorpio. It was a difficult time for many. So you're finally finding things are moving, things are happening. Like you have necessary action taking place where things are becoming more fruitful, they're more balanced, they're more fair, and, there's this direction choice. Like it puts you at a crossroads. It's a big crossroads, I really think. What is it that you want to do? I think you've just been going along. I don't want to use the word surviving up until this point, but just, doing whatever you had to do. Rob Peter to pay Paul. Go on. I don't mean that you're robbing anybody, but it's a saying, like whatever it took to get the job done. You just kept going and dancing to beat the band, all right? But now it's like there's actually an opportunity. I don't want to call it an opportunity, but it's like that there's actually the possibility of making a choice, not having to do something because you're forced to do it to get by and survive, but to be able to say, well, let me see. Do I want to go this way or do I want to go that? I can actually make a decision. And I really think that this is coming around that October 10th time frame. Okay, in there. It allows you to take control over an area of your life where the details that you needed to get together have just escaped you for the longest time. It's like finally, we're talking years here, and finally things are ready to move. I mean, and here's the thing that's interesting is that, like, once you see this, I think it really starts around that new moon that was on September the 30th. So as you get into the month, it's just like you're bursting onto the scene and things are moving forward. But as they move forward, I think you've been, I want to say, stagnant for so long with a particular situation. That jolting you out of complacency type of thing, right? You're so used to the same old, You need something to come along and shake you up and say, okay, what do you want to do now? Here, you're allowed to make a choice now. And then you're like, oh, really? Okay. So, there may be, for a couple moments there up until the full moon, a little bit of confusion around that. Like, okay, I'm the one that has to decide. I'm the one that gets to decide. See, it's that, I almost want to say traumatic, and I'm not trying to laugh at you. But this has been going on for so long, all these situations, and just like, I'm telling you, you just keep doing whatever you got to do. And now all of a sudden, instead of doing unorthodox things to get by, you're expected to do it the right way, figure it out, make a choice, have forward motion, have success, take charge, create a new beginning, all right, and manifest opportunities that are going to multiply. That's a mouthful. Just like all of a sudden. It's like, so if you're sitting around doing nothing, waiting for something to happen, or just trying to survive whatever's been going on for so many years, and then all of a sudden, that's how it is. That's how it happens. It's like, being triumphant over the hard times and putting an end to them. Like, if you've been wishing for things for a long time, you're getting at least one of these wishes happening this month. So that's pretty interesting there, because there's been quite a few things that were lacking, and you're just gonna start turning it all around. For the moment anyway. For the moment. I kind of think you've got some time, but you have to remember that come next December, Saturn is going to move into your sign. So use this coming year very wisely to work on anything and everything that you can. So wherever there's been lack, if it's been financial, it's been health, it's been work-related, home-related, from this point forward, I want to say from like around October the 10th, you need to just get yourself in gear. There is no time here for anything but action. You want it to work. You want to put an end to those hard times. You need to keep on rolling, because, I'm not real sure how I feel about Saturn moving into, your sign next year. It doesn't always leave the most pleasant memories for people. So, yeah. And the things you're separating from things that have been painful. I seem to think that maybe last month when I was doing this for you, that I talked about finally ending a relationship that needed to end. Like a close relationship. Maybe not a work one, but something else that was going on. So there is I want to say a double dose of reality here this month, Capricorn. A lot to take in and a lot to assess. Very interesting. I think that, your own impulses need to be curbed with regard to certain things, things that were stressful, challenges that popped up. This is interesting. I feel like more positivity wants to come in. And you feel, I want to say, like a renewal of, like energy levels, things of that nature that you really need. But you're working on making things solid again. That new base that's been escaping you for a long time. So finally you're going to be able to make the plans that you need. This is good. But I feel like I said, with knowing that Saturn's coming, and it's a long way off, but you need to be aware and not dilly-dally with this energy that you've been given. That's what I'm taking away from it, is that you need, this saying, make hay while the sun shines. Exactly. Can't make hay on rainy days. So, now, there's also, I know this is for the month of October, but there's something that's coming in closer to the third week in November, which in the U.S. is when there's Thanksgiving. So it's around that time frame. And I think by then, you're really starting to feel a lot more grounded. But it starts now, this month. Like I said, I really feel like it started with the new moon. And you just get in the month and you're just rolling. Just rolling right along. Little bit of ups and downs, because I think that after all this time with, not having choices, or maybe thinking you could have, and then you thought, well, maybe I made the wrong choice, that type of thing, things are finally changing. And it puts you in such a position that you're like, okay, maybe even a little bit mesmerized by the whole thing. But you can make this work for you, and you can make it really be something. So, especially remembering that you have this whole year coming up to have Jupiter help you with your career. Now, if you have a career, if you have a job or a source of income, that's where you're going to meet the people that you need to meet, encounter the situations that you need to encounter. So, for the first almost 2 weeks of the month, that's what I want to say, like the first 2 weeks of the month, you're still kind of back and forth, back and forth. You kind of maybe have some of that old crap that you've been battling with for a while, and then things start to give around that 10th time frame. So you're freeing yourself up by the full moon. So that's from the 10th to the 16th. I don't know why, but I get these dates, and this is where I'm at with this stuff, and this is what I'm thinking for you. Okay? And like you get the spring back in your step. You feel like a kid again. The only thing I have to caution against, and I've seen this a lot lately, is that, that moment when everything suddenly feels like you think it's going right, and you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's not going to, okay? It's not going to. So don't spend all of your time thinking, like this is too good to be true, and doubting that you deserve, the happiness that's trying to come your way. So it's a very interesting month for you. And, I hope you enjoy having Jupiter in your career sector for 13 months. And, this stint of Mars in Capricorn is definitely a good one for you. So you're going to find that things are working much more on a positive level right now. But the choices actually become yours, and it is up to you to make it happen, right? Yeah, to decide what's next. So Capricorn, I want to thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you here again next month. Take care.